Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Earl Grey. That song that you just heard is Slide In by Shady Shannon, the lead single from his new album, Toxic, which is coming out on all streaming platforms on May 24th. And here to tell us all about this new album is Shady Shannon. Welcome.
Hey guys, thank you for having me here.
Thank you for coming on. I want to say I absolutely love Slide In, and you do some really interesting sounds things, music design things with this song. So one thing that I really liked was vocally, like you end up echoing yourself throughout the song, and I find that really interesting. But how did you, what encouraged you to, I guess, be a little bit more creative with the sound design in the song?
Yeah, so I think the echo you're referring to is in the chorus, right? Like
Yeah.
the yeah. So that part, like I recorded like the main chorus, and then I sort of like felt like it was a bit empty just by itself. So then I like recorded myself sort of repeating at each line as I said it. And then I sort of realized how that sort of filled it out a bit more. And then what me and my producer Liam did is that we put those vocals a bit more in the background of the mix and we sort of increased the reverb. So like made it sound a bit bigger and echoey. So then you have this sort of like depth in the music. So you have like the main melody that's coming out, and then you have this sort of background, like echoey sort of vocal that sort of adds like the vibe of the song, I guess.
Yeah, it's really cool what you guys came up with. And do you guys try a lot of experimental stuff throughout this album?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think the biggest thing that we've probably messed around with the most is the drums. Like, we've changed not just the drum pattern, but like just the individual like drum sounds, how much reverb we put on the sound, how we mix the specific drums. Like, we've changed it so many times. And if you listen to the outro drums on that song, like that was probably it was a pretty cool studio moment. We were literally just banging on the table to find that pattern, like and then like eventually like trying to write that pattern down into the MIDI of our software, and then getting the sound, getting those nice synths in the end. Um, I thought it was a nice sort of like outro from the rest of the song. Like it sounds a bit different, like it's still sort of groovy with how the pattern works, but it's a different sort of groove. And we thought that was an interesting contrast from the rest of the song to have as an outro.
Yeah, it's really cool that you guys come up with all of these cool ways. And I love that you guys, it literally started out with you guys tapping it on the table and then you've transformed it into part of the storytelling process of your song. And I want to ask, are there any particular like stories or feelings that you want to convey in this new album?
I think with this new album, there's like a lot of different songs. I think one of my friends who heard the album said that what they liked about it is that there's something for everyone. Like there's different stories for everyone. Like obviously, Slide In, is sort of, about like a relationship that's sort of past and you're sort of looking back and whether you want to, I guess, slide back in, go back into it. And there's other songs with those similar sort of themes. There's other songs which are a bit more, upbeat, like Candyland, if you guys have heard the first single. That one's a bit more sort of upbeat. And there's a few songs, a bit more reflective, a bit more lyrical. But I think, yeah, as my friend said, like the best thing is that there is a song and there is a type of sound and a type of like narrative, I guess, that anyone from any sort of standpoint can somewhat enjoy and relate to, hopefully.
Yeah, it's a really sonically diverse album from what I've heard, and honestly, I cannot wait for it to come out. And I want to say the album isn't the only thing you're releasing. So from what I can see, you're wearing a white top that says toxic. And this is part of Shady Apparel. Can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Yeah, actually, I could actually show you a little bit more about this. Obviously, the radio listeners won't be able to, but we have a couple different colorways, a couple different designs. Won't go through all of them, but Shady Apparel is like basically a sort of companion clothing brand. So it's right now it's just serving as merch to the album. So we have what we call the Toxic Tees, and I think it's sort of just like a visual medium like a visual accompaniment to the music. Like it's sort of when you're listening to the music, like this is the fashion, this is the sort of clothing that I envision, like sort of surrounding it, right? And like again, right now we just have t-shirts, but I'm hoping to like grow the brand to a point where we have like a bunch of different pieces, and eventually you can just have like a whole Shady Apparel outfit that like matches the sonic sort of sound of the album. And I thought that was it's a cool idea because obviously like most of the time when you're looking at a visual medium for music, you're looking at a music video. But then you look at like so many artists have like merch, so many artists have their own clothing line. And I thought it would be an interesting approach to sort of merge those ideas and have the clothing line just be so connected with like how the music sounds.
Yeah, it's really cool that you've really embraced, I guess, the street culture element of rap. And I do want to say that um even since we first met, I found out so much more about street culture in itself. But you're going back to Shady Apparel, it's not just merch. It when you when you're wearing one of the toxic teas, you're also buying something that is sustainably sourced. So why is sustainability really important to Shady Apparel?
Yeah, I think like the important thing is that what we make is something that's gonna keep lasting in the future. Our practices, like the way we make things, are gonna it's gonna be something that's gonna keep we're gonna keep being able to go back to in the future. Like if you make something now that's not sustainable, whether it's the materials, whether it's the method, um, you're gonna have to change that approach eventually. And why wait for the curve to change when you can be ahead of the curve, right?
Yeah, it's really cool that that you guys have been thinking forward about this clothing line. And honestly, I am really excited to see more and hear more from Toxic. So where can we go to pre-save and download and stream Toxic
Yeah.
when it comes out?
So the place that I probably post the most is on my Instagram, at Oscar Bosco Cosca. I know it's not Shady Shannon. But then on TikTok, you can go to just at Shady Shannon. And also on Spotify, you can go to at Shady Shannon, which also have some of my social media links there as well. Um, in any of those social media bios, there'll be a link to pre-save the album. Um, and also both again on my social media links and on actually my Spotify page, which is now merged with my shop. You can also check out some of the samples we have for the Shady Apparel tees, which will come out on the same day as the album, which, if you guys don't know already, is May 24th.
Mark the date, save the date. It is
Yep.
gonna be huge. Thank you so much for joining us on Earl Grey.
Thank you for having me.
And I can't wait to hear the new album.
Glad to hear that. And I hope that everyone who listens here will enjoy the new album.